Hey guys, welcome back. So, I wanted to update you on the current state of affairs. So, now that on the previous video I covered about perception, I covered how perceptions are something that can be easily manipulated and that can be changed really fast. That any new type of information can actually um, be used, and your mind will automatically update everything that resembles that everything that pulls up that information. For example, let's start with the hand signal. So the hand signal, um, in the beginning of gang stalking, you are bombarded by a group of people doing the hand signal, and it's done in a way that it bothers you. So your perception becomes negative. You tie in the hand signal with a negative emotion that you feel, and with negative with thoughts that say he's doing that on purpose, they're doing that to bother me, gang stalkers are attacking me. And the first time that happens, you are bombarded with so much negative emotion that you get into a panic attack. The first time I experienced this, I ran away. But my the new way that I had to really fight this, because I was obviously lacking a concept in my mind that would that would not allow me to create a such a radical change of perception onto something that is so common, and that I really and that it can be weaponized against me. So I began listening to a lot of Stoic material, and Stoic material and this Stoic lessons, they talk about the difference between judgment and between criticism. So judgment is, be it from other people or myself, judgment is pretty much when you do something or when someone does something that, like for example, the hand signal, it was me judging that the hand signal was done on purpose. And I was judging it on purpose. And I was judging it because of my previous experience with gang stalking. So every hand signal that I saw, I automatically judged it as it being something negative. But there was obviously a mistake on that, because if that perception is used in such a way that I start accidentally interpreting hand signals by or sudden hand movements or leg movements by everyone else in such a manner that is detrimental to my mental health, I had to literally introduce that um that new concept of judgment. And by that I mean that I began judging everyone because of my previous experience with gang stalking. And I began to make the assumption that anyone who made like a sudden hand movement or an evil grin, I automatically began judging the purpose of it. It was me who was judging those actions. But the truth is that judgment is just that, it is judgment on my previous experiences. So instead of automatically assume that a fast hand movement, an evil grin, or a word use that I could interpret as negative because I had a previous experience with it, instead of automatically judge it as something negative, I have to judge it as something, as judgment. I know that possibly makes no sense right now, and it's okay. I have spent most of the day sleeping. because I'm trying to get my mind to work normal again. And I obviously need a lot of rest. But I needed to stop judging everything that reminds me of gang stalking as a confirmation of gang stalking being real. So everyone that does the hand signal, that it doesn't mean that it's a gang stalker. It means that it's like that I'm judging, that I'm allowing the perception to take over my life. So what I've had to do is, to anything that reminds me of gang stalking or that used to remind me of gang stalking, I have to just re reframe that perception and then just rename it as judgment. I know it makes no sense, but that's exactly what I have been doing, is that I have been renaming all the perceptions of gang stalking as judgment. So in order for you to understand that, I think you have to understand what my previous perceptions were. So whenever I would see a hand signal, I would automatically name it, "Oh, that's a gang stalker," or whenever I would see a hand signal, I would immediately say in my mind, the perception would be, "Oh, he's doing that on purpose," and that's what would make the gang stalking narrative real. But the truth is that I was basing those judgments on previous experiences that I've had. Which, that in itself is unfair to everyone who isn't a gang stalker. Because I was judging people as evil, when in reality I wasn't sure. So when you are connected, when you are in the gang stalking mindset, you can hear your own perceptions. You can hear your own thoughts. And whenever I would see that, an automatic thought would pull up that would say, "That's a gang stalker. That's doing it on that person is doing it on purpose." And then in that perception, that thought would be accompanied by a negative emotion. So then, what I've had to do is just, instead of having those thoughts, I've had to actively be replacing those with judgment, with literally the word judgment. So whenever I see the hand movement, a hand signal, my automatic thought is not going to be judgment. I mean, it's not going to be, "That's a gang stalker. He's doing that on purpose." Because the truth is that I don't know if that's on purpose or not. So the thought that fits that the best is the thought of judgment, or no thought at all. The truth is that no thought at all should be put on something so insignificant, like a sudden hand wave. However, that is what gang stalking does, is that it gives meaning to things that shouldn't have meaning. For example, in one of my previous videos, I told you that the unknown is what is being used against you, where because you don't know where someone is, gang stalking how do you say, not manipulate you, gang stalking makes you, conditions you to imagine people conspiring against you when you don't know where they're at. So your imagination is imagining people, hiding in the corners. you know they're using you are conditioned to imagine people conspiring against you when you don't see them. And in the past, those that information in the past those instances, you were too busy focused on what you were doing. You were busy focused on the present. But gang stalking is done in such a way that that the unknowns, you start interpreting the things that you don't see as people conspiring against you, and we're gonna cover that later. I plan on on dissecting everything about gang stalking in such a concise manner, and in making it, and I plan on making it so clear that everyone who is going through it can finally understand what happened to them. That 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 whoever is going through gang stalking can finally understand what it means to have your mind turn against you. The things that people do that are so annoying, the thing that gang stalkers do that are so annoying, are not done just to be annoying. They're done because that is how they trained your mind, and it took me so many years to understand it. And the one thing that I'm gonna tell you that my subconscious always knew is that don't do any drugs. So I know, I've known this forever, but gang stalking only works when you're tired. If you have a lot of energy, if you are well rested, gang stalking will have minimal effect. So, if you're getting, I know it sounds unfair. Trust me, I know. But listen, you being tired is the one thing that allows the gang stalking to actually be real. Because when you're tired, you don't have the reins of your mind tightened like you should. You don't have a grip of your over your mind like you usually like you would as if you were well rested. So that is what makes your mind. That's what makes you vulnerable to manipulation. Gang stalking doesn't happen unless you're tired. But let me tell you, it can happen so much and so long that whenever you come back from being high, the gang stalking perceptions will stay there. The manipulations of your mind will stay there. So it's crucial for you to stop being online, to stop using drugs. The more you understand how this manipulation of the mind works, it's actually gonna become easy to stop using. All you do is literally just, you have to learn how to get rid of any thought that pulls up any memory of drug usage, any image. You just focus on the present and snap out of it. To snap out of it, you just do this. And it brings your senses to the present. When you're lost in thought, is when you and your perceptions and your mind and your thoughts are vulnerable to manipulation. That's why gang stalkers do things to leave you thinking, to have you try to interpret things, because when you don't understand something, you're literally lost in thought trying to interpret something because it makes no sense. So the most important thing that I can tell you now is that if you're getting gang stalked, first you have to not you have to be well rested, because the first weapon that gang stalkers have against you is your own is the own consumption of your drugs. The moment that you stop consuming drugs is the moment that you're gonna start having more control of your mind, and you can revert all your perceptions where they belong in reality. And there was a they're messing with the thing that perceives your reality. And let me tell you, if you don't take this shit seriously, you can possibly stay crazy forever. This is serious. Being gang stalked is not cool. These people are literally using your mind to make you interpret reality differently. So you need to stop consuming any drugs. You need to be well rested. That's your first priority. And you need to understand how gang stalking works, which is why I'm here. All right? Thank you for watching. Bye.